Hey all, Biggs here. You know what it is. It is OTA time. So let's read through the notes together and I'll give you all my thoughts on how this is going to shake up the meta. In this week's balance update, we'll be trimming some power off the top of a couple of archetypes, as well as continuing to cut extraneous power from tech cards that we feel comfortable. Overall, we are very pleased with where the metagame is and has been since our tech reform. We're just looking to keep improving things as we can. Let's go ahead and get into it. Black Cat going from 1-5 to 1-4, and Sauron going from 1-3 to 1-2. Really like the Black Cat change. It feels really strong, and it like only fits in certain archetypes. So nice to get out that out of the way. And then Sauron, kind of interesting. I know Sauron has popped back up a little bit since Surtur, once all like Shang-Chi and stuff has really driven down. So kind of nice to just take these down. We're starting by removing a power for some rate outliers, Black Cat and Sauron. We aggressively juice these cards in an effort to get them to see more play. With Black Cat in particular, up until this 1-5 buff, she was essentially never actually played as a normal Marvel snap card. Just ended up in the discard pile until her friend Hela showed up. As is, even though she produces awkwardness in games from time to time, she's the most efficient one-cost card in the game from a raw points perspective, has enjoyed a lot of success in the end of turn deck, where her tag also functions as a synergy. Still believe she can function in a more preferable spot. It's a card that actually gets staged as a 1-4 and won't function like the others with an outlier versus comparable 1-drops. Over time, Sauron strategies have gradually improved in win rate, and as a result of how much impact Sauron has in the game when first played, we think we can comfortably position him with one less point while retaining the mantle. The Sauron thing is interesting. Don't think it'll matter too terribly much. We'll obviously lower those Surtur decks. I don't know how powerful they are. I don't see them too terribly much, but hey, not too bad to get ahead of that. And then we have Supergiant and Alioth both losing a point. Supergiant going from 4-7 to 4-6. Alioth going from 6-9 to 6-8. And then Mercury getting changed from 2-2 to 3-4. Very interesting Mercury change. I think that maybe they're trying to help out Move, but Move's in a really good position right now. So I think they're maybe just trying to mess with tech cards a little bit. As you've likely noticed by now, we're keeping up the trend of trying to trim extraneous strength from tech where we think is possible. To reiterate our position, we think Marvel Snap is a lot more fun when synergistic decks are on the top of the ladder and players have more thoughtful about tech inclusion. The intention of targeting specific strategies that are overrepresented or particular threats to their strategy. We still believe this interaction is healthy, but we don't want the best decks in the game to be a stack of points generated through generic rate cards and the ability to shut down any strategy, tech soup, essentially. Since End of Turn burst onto the scene, Supergiant has been a heavily played card as a powerful piece of interaction for that strategy, as well as finding a bevy of other interactions. We've gotten the aforementioned end of turn deck in a better place. We feel more comfortable reducing Supergiant's power. Yeah, Supergiant as a 4-7 was pretty crazy. As a 4-6, still a really good card, but definitely did not need to be a 4-7. I think as a 4-6, it's going to be in a good spot. During the robot takeover, we experimented with a large change to Alioth. We did ultimately decide to revert afterwards. We're taking a more conservative approach here. While the presence of Alioth and Marvel Snap is a good thing in many regards, perhaps most notably enduring the priority remains a dynamic part of the final turn of the game. Its level of flexibility does make us comfortable with removing a power. Yeah, 6-9 was still really strong. I think 6-8, it could probably land here for a while. I don't mind where Alioth is at. I think that it's a card that's frustrating to play against still, but usually only when it comes down on turn 5. When it comes down on turn 6, you're like, yeah, it's fair. It's currently a little too close to the best generic 6-cost card in the game. We'd like that to not be true of a tech card. Finally, the largest change here is Mercury. The Mercury Cannonball combo has been a prominent part of the metagame for some time now, and although we did make a large nerf to Cannonball that has resulted in a sufficient shift in our eyes, as it stands, Mercury is a powerful proactive card that incidentally makes it much more difficult for Move to exist in the metagame, and we would much prefer for Mercury to be a card that players turn to, perhaps still with Cannonball, they deemed Move prevalent enough that they need fighting back. As it stands now, Move doesn't have much room to breathe with the amount of Mercury that players are allowed to play, quote-unquote, for free. We have chosen to address that weakening with how efficient the tech piece is. That's kind of weird to me. I feel like Mercury isn't that prevalent right now, and move feels really, really strong. So this is a really interesting change to me. Maybe still running Mercury now, especially if like a bunch of people switch over to move, thinking the Mercury isn't there would be a really, really good choice. Because this is a 3/4 that moves and stops your opponent from moving. It's really not that bad of a card. I mean, it's still, I would say, relatively solid. X23 going from 1/2 to 1/1. Big little notch down to destroy players. This is not only really important for priority, it's not really important for like Venom and things like that, but also Null. You know, if you're destroying this a couple of times, it's going to lower the power of Null, which is really cool. Destroy has gotten some excellent tools lately and been one of the best performing decks over the past season. Generally considered a good sign when Destroy is one of the best Marvel Snap decks, but the interest of shaking things up slightly, we are weakening one of Destroy's strongest cards. We chose X23 over many other options as we felt it would make the least impact on how the deck's game plan actually unfolds. X23's strongest feature is her energy production, and although the deck will feel one less point as a slight ding to win rate, it won't affect or make her or the deck powerful from an archetype standpoint. That was an interesting set of words. Maybe I read it wrong. I don't know. This does actually, I think, affect things pretty powerfully. Like the X23, it's going to lower a point off of the Venom if you play it on top of there. It's going to lower the points on the Null and the X23 itself. So I think this is like compounds into like multiple points off of Destroy. So this might actually be pretty damning to Destroy, at least just from like a pure power aspect. But not a bad change. I think that Destroy is a little too overtuned right now. So doing something like this could just bring it down a little bit more in line. We have Leader and Nakia both receiving one additional point, from 6/4 to 6/5 for Leader and from 3/3 to 3/4 for Nakia. And then Penny Parker is going to stay the same as a 2/3, but the 3/4 spider that it creates is going up to 3/5. I still don't know if Penny Parker is really that playable. I mean, they've kind of like adjusted it. It started as a 3/3, now going all the way up to a 3/5. You're basically like building a vision and then getting an extra energy. Maybe that's worth it. I mean, that actually seems like pretty good at this point. Play it on Penny Parker on 2, you attach it on 3, and then you could accelerate up to 5 energy that turn. Maybe an interesting thing with like Sarah, like having multiple ways to get to Sarah early, like you include this and Luna Snow in a Sarah deck to try and get Sarah down a turn earlier. Maybe something I'll look at. Electro also getting a point of power up from 3/4 to 3/5. I don't know if this is going to affect Electro that much. Really, the best thing to do with Electro often is to blink it. But if you're trying to do things with like Red Wing or War Machine, or maybe just like Enchantressing it, which you can still do, maybe those sides of things get a little bit better, but blinking it still kind of does the same thing. As usual, here are a few different underperforming cards that we hope to get a little more time in the spotlight with the upcoming season. Maybe Nakia could be an exciting, superior Spider-Man enabler, or perhaps you're interested in eliminating Electro's drawback with Man Spider. I don't know what either of those cards do. I'm not going to lie to you. So maybe down in the comments below, let me know why they said that and why that matters, because I don't really look ahead to cards almost at all. It's kind of a bad thing that I do as someone who's a content creator, but I don't know. I just always like to just like kind of see the cards as they come. Yeah, Electro going up to 3/5, probably not that big of a deal. Nakia to 3/4 makes the card a lot more interesting, honestly. Puts it like a lot closer. You know, when you're comparing this to like Gwenpool now, right? Like a 3/4 Nakia versus a 4/5 Gwenpool. That's something that you'd really think about. So maybe like buff decks are going to be in a pretty good position with Nakia getting that extra point of power. Really interesting to think about. Like now, if as long as you have like 4 cards in hand, Nakia's a 3/4 that gives +4 versus a 4/5 that gives +6. They're pretty in line, honestly. Like 3 extra points for that extra energy that you're spending. Now, obviously, Gwenpool it targets the power more, which can be more effective, but we'll really see. The leader change, I don't think it's going to do anything. I think that maybe at 6/6, leader starts to become a little bit more interesting, but as a 6/5, I don't really see anything changing. Electro, not that big of a change. And the Penny Parker thing, actually quite interesting. Like that card's starting to get to the point where it's something you might actually like consider utilizing in a deck. And I might give it a try. So the X23 change, I think, is going to be really good for bringing Destroy Inbounds. Seeing Mercury get changed, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of moves. So after this, especially with potentially seeing less Mercury as a 3/4, Move might be running a little bit wild. Probably see a little bit less Goliath, a little bit less Supergiant, but people who like Supergiant really like it. And then these top 2 changes, I think that it's a nice little ding to the end of turn deck and just like general decks that are trying to run Black Cat for stats. And the Sauron change, again, I don't really see that in the meta too terribly much. So pretty straightforward, not that big of a change from the perspective of the OTA. A lot of people were talking about wanting to see Super Galactian here, and I can almost guarantee you in the next OTA it'll be there because that card is real bad. But overall, really fun. Let me know down in the comments below what was your favorite change, which change did you hate? Make sure to hit that like button, and thank you so much for listening to me talk about the OTA. Later. Binks. I hope you like the vibe. Binks. Like and subscribe.